As Tribu bring the underworld to life, the musicians are exposed to a complex mix of frequencies and phases as sound waves bounce off the cave walls. Augustine's EEG recordings should reveal what effect this may have on his state of consciousness. Within 20 minutes, that effect becomes clear. Atwater's instruments show Augustine entered a delta state.
Notice here where there's absolutely no body movement artifact. It's as though this person is totally asleep here with this high amplitude delta brain waves going across here all the way to the end of the ceremony. We went into a sacred place and replicated a ceremony that purportedly allowed these ancient peoples to travel, to see, to enter into deep meditative states, deep consciousness states that we characterize today as being akin to being asleep and yet having our minds awake.
Separated from the Mexican pyramids by thousands of miles and thousands of years are the pyramids of Egypt. Some explain their uncanny similarity as the work of alien overseers. But this could also be explained by a common desire to travel from the underworld to the heavens through shamanic flight.
You have to go in depth to the mind of the Egyptian and the thinking and the thoughts to understand how they did that. But today, most of the people who believe in the spiritual value of pyramids, they look at it only from outside. And that's why they began to imagine no one can do it.
Like the people of ancient Mexico, ancient Egyptians believed in a cosmos with three tiers: the underworld, the earthly, and the heavens. Both societies were ruled by god kings, steeped in shamanic knowledge and belief. As in Mexico, when an Egyptian pharaoh died, he sought to join the gods in the heavens above.
The ancient Egyptian believed that the king is resting in his place, and the king will use the pyramid as stairs to ascend and descend to the sky.
These stairways to the stars are marvels of engineering and design. But beneath their complexity lies a concept shared by the builders of Çatalhöyük, Maes Howell, and Teotihuacan. Deep within the pyramids of Giza, cave-like chambers were used to launch flights to the spirit world. Flights fueled by sound and ritual.
And when they closed the body of the deceased inside the tomb, rituals started in a glory, mysterious, darkness music. This is ritual music, making the dancing boom, boom, beautiful. And this is what we call ritual dancing, to accompany the deceased in his funeral procession while they're taking his body.
Could these sounds and ceremonies have been inspired by past journeys to inner space? Journeys into altered states where inspiration and wisdom were thought to be found. It could explain the motivation behind the most elaborate caves in human history and the symbols of flight associated with the pharaoh's journeys to the afterlife. The pyramid's secrets lie in their inspiration, an inspiration that seems to have started long before the rise of the great Egyptian powers, an inspiration shared by all ancient cultures as they explored the world of spirits and the afterlife.
They were ordinary people like us. They were not giants. They were not people came from out of the space. They were normal people, but they designed a specific program for the afterlife.
History shows our ancestors, from the first cave dwellers to the most sophisticated architects, gave preeminence to the spiritual world. If that world was hidden in the human subconscious, we could still explore it today. Skip Atwater believes we can, and that we have much to learn from the ancient science of the shaman.
There is information elsewhere. There is information beyond the limitations of the physical body, beyond the limitations of our 5 physical senses. And it is our mind that gives us access to those things. It is our very own thoughts. It is the essence of us, the soul of us, that allows us to know these things.
I believe that there are 2 modes of learning about the universe. And what's fascinating to me is that, like our experiences in everyday consciousness using the senses, this other mechanism can also convey absolutely new information.
Now, as we move into technology and understand more about how the brain functions, we are remembering, bringing together again, the functions of the lower brain and the higher brain to make us a totally functioning human being, capable of perceiving in many different ways, capable of allowing our minds to extend beyond the realms of our physical bodies.
The ancient shamans seem to have used their higher and lower brains with extraordinary impact on human development. They were first to turn their imagination into images, giving birth to art and writing.
The importance of the appearance of imagery just cannot be overemphasized. It is one of those factors that changed human society forever.
Genetic biological evolution reached its peak at a certain point in time, which was then manifested by the capacity for symbolic art and metaphorical storytelling. At that point, there was a shift. At that point, evolution became social rather than biological.
For thousands of years, this social evolution was guided by the shamans. Wise men and women thought to have superhuman access to the spiritual realms.
What we're talking about is evolution, and we are very fortunate that the shaman and the community had this respect for the information from the other worlds to help them survive in a world that was often hostile.
Fusing knowledge of the physical world with their spirit world, they offered structure and meaning to dawning civilizations. Intelligent and innovative civilizations whose remarkable achievements intrigue us today.